Hi, well, welcome to Top Dice. We've got Chris with us today, and we've also got Ezra, first appearance on the show. Welcome, Ezra. Tell us a bit about yourself.
I am a disabled advocate. I do, outside of gaming, I have snakes and dogs and a small child, and I run mostly Vampire the Cthulhu.
Well, two of my favourite games there to kick off with.
Definitely.
Must say, Vampire. Let's talk a bit about Vampire now. Your favourite version?
20th anniversary. I really don't like the newest version, 5th Ed, because they cut most of the clans out. And one of the things I loved about Vampire is the diversity of characters you can create.
Yeah, that is, I think, something that really sort of came to the fore. Obviously, with the initial Vampire, I remember selling that originally, and you got your basic clans. In fact, you hadn't even got all the clans at that stage, and you'd got the Caitiff clan, which was kind of a mix where you could try and mix and match your own. But pretty soon they came out with quite a few different ones. So you got the Sabbats, and also you'd got the various unusual bloodlines as well. Any
Yeah.
particular favourite clan?
I really like the Daughters of Cacophony.
Yeah, Snap,
They're great.
Melon
And
Pence, yeah.
We once had a game with if I can remember what they're called, the vampires with the third eye, where there's only 7 of them.
Salubri.
Salubri. We once had a
Yep.
game with Salubri,
Wow.
which resulted in a massacre by the Tremere.
Oh, good Lord. Yeah, it's well, my two clans tend to be Tremere and Toreador. Probably a
I
bit
like
more
Toreador a lot.
It's yeah, I had a character called Simon Starr who was based on George Michael.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and used to play to huge auditoriums, obviously only at night, and outdoor. But yeah, absolutely amazing. I even used to write lyrics and come up with song lyrics. Can't sing for Toffee, unfortunately, but I actually used to write the songs and give those to the games master as well, which was absolutely hilarious. It came with some classic top 10 hits, and they all used to vote around the table as to how high up the charts this would actually get. But anyway, Chris, Vampire and you.
Yeah, me and Vampire, we go way back. Love that game. So, like you were saying, the what was it? The 20th anniversary kept the spirit of all the sort of diverse nature of what a vampire is. For me, my two favorite vampire clans are what was it? The Setites.
The Setites are very interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
Snakes. I think that's something to do with that. And then it was the Tremere as well.
Yeah.
I also
big on the Tremere here.
Yeah. I played Tremere in the Liverpool live action Vampire as well. That was fun.
I ran a live action once.
That was crazy. Some weird, no offense, but some weird people turn up to those. Fun. It's like wow,
they're well into it, well into it,
Very
and
into it.
There's a proper deep dive into it. It's really
we had a Toreador prince who was basically a puppet used by the Tremere, and he had Tremere bodyguards with him everywhere he went. So he had Tremere in suits everywhere he went. But he was like a former celebrity chef who always wore Hawaiian shirts.
Love it.
And it was wonderful.
I think with Vampire, you can actually express different aspects of your personality more easily than you can with certain other role-playing games.
Yeah, and it's built for that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the big attractions with it. And it just the whole personal horror side, I just find, I don't know, intriguing. And the people that are involved with it, I think amazing. We used to have a chapter in Preston, where I'm from, in Lancashire, and run by the students, actually, the student union. And they used to have nights out on the town in Preston. This is going back when it first came out, the original first edition, and it was just absolutely amazing to see. You'd see the coteries of vampires moving around, and then they'd have showdowns on the street, which would cause people to go, "What the hell's going down?" No physical contact. It was all hissing and snarling and sort of moving around each other, and it was just you could see people go, "What is going on here?"
So a little bit like what we do in the shadows, when you all start hissing each other.
Exactly, yeah, and it was just great, and an absolutely fantastic bunch of people from so many diverse backgrounds that got on, simply because there was a common thread and a common love there of the actual genre and the game.
Yeah.
And we used to sell box loads and box loads of the old Masquerade box sets as they were. I don't know if you ever saw those, Ezra. The original live action role playing ones came in a big box with loads of bits in. And it used to go very, very, very well, did that. In fact, it outsold the actual role playing game book itself. More than a few months did those. We had to get them in from America. We couldn't get enough in the UK. So there we go. But that was just huge. I just love it. That's any particular stories from your side, Chris, on Vampire?
Oh, Vampire, yes. Basically, we played Vampire a lot, and I used to go off sort of on my own path. I used to do what I wanted to do. I'd sort of plot and create chaos and do all kinds of crazy stuff.
Players always do this.
Yeah, and but I ended up killing off other player characters. Which caused a breakdown in a real life relationship with someone else. Now, maybe I shouldn't have done that, but maybe they should have realized it's just a game. Okay, so I've gunned you down with a shotgun. Your mage is never going to walk again. Then I finished you off.
And you wouldn't do that in real life.
Well, if you do, you get put in prison or you get taken out by a SWAT team, whatever, how it works, But yeah, it was made up fantasy crap, So yeah. I think that's what kind of split that group up, because in the end, we played Vampire, and they were waiting for me to kick off. So I did. I thought, like, you know what, sod you guys. I could play nice, but I'm playing a vampire who's a bit, pardon my language, a bit of a shit. So I played it that way. And looking back, all but one had a great time. They loved it. The amount of characters I killed, just gunning them down, feeding off them. I shoved a grenade down one guy's throat, decapitated him, and all the while they're teaming up. They're going out of the room and having little conversations and sort of like, blah blah blah, coming back in again, and they're having all these sort of like intricate plans. Just fail, because I'm literally charging through. I think it was Liverpool we set it in, although we all met in Southport. But we're all charging through Liverpool, and I'm dodging, doing this, that, and the other, calling on favours and things like that. And I think it took them weeks to take me down. And it was me against the whole group. And I think, looking back, most of them had a good time.
Well, there you go. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, they kept coming back. So
now you mainly ran it, didn't you? I believe.
Yeah.
Right. One story from you. We've got to have something from a games master's perspective. What one event sticks out in your mind, if you can come up with one?
Well, I've always run my games in Manchester, which means that I have a timeline that runs from the 1970s when my first game was set, all the way up till now.
Brill.
And it means that I know exactly what happened in every year, because I've run games for 15 years. Most of them have been set in modern day, so we've got a really clear timeline. And the massacre of 2008 is the thing that sticks in everyone's head. And I have to explain it to everyone who's been a resident of Manchester for long enough. You were there when the massacre happened, and you have to decide how you reacted to that at the time, because there was a salubri in Manchester when Manchester had no prince for several years, around 2008, and or until 2008, and it became a city that hosted and welcomed independent vampires from vampires that weren't Camarilla or Sabbat.
Right.
And because of that, a salubri took refuge there. And at that point, the Tremere went, this is meant to be a Camarilla city.
Yeah.
We're not having this.
Mm.
And blocked all the exits to the city and just massacred anybody who wasn't Camarilla trying to exit the city.
Right.
Wow.
Wow.
And it's a plot line I was given after discussing my group with several GMs, because my group were getting increasingly overpowered, increasingly using flaws to add points to their character sheets, but not actually using the flaws properly, and that sort of thing. And they needed something to jerk them back into reality.
I like that.
That's a good move. That's a very, very good move. That, and you do find that people do tend to forget the flaws. That everybody will play them in part, but they'll always remember the merits in the extreme.
Yeah. But like, I've had people play with like loads of feeding flaws because they know that I don't necessarily always play the feeding part.
Yeah.
And that's just cheating.
Yeah. It's taking advantage of the situation, basically.
Yeah.
And you've got a character there, you've got your merits, you've got your flaws. And I must admit, I love the character generation for Vampire. I think it was so novel and different at the time, still is, and it works so well. I know what you're saying about 5th edition, and I do actually kind of agree with you. My favourite was the original Vampire the Masquerade. And there was something about it, I think, the original rules, that you just couldn't beat.
I've got a question for you, Ezra, actually. I've never run Vampire. I've always been a player. Love it, obviously. What edition would you recommend I start with?
I still recommend 20th anniversary because I think it's the easiest to run as well.
I agree with that completely. Everything's in the one. It's a big volume, but everything is in there, isn't it?
Yeah, everything's in the Storyteller's Companion. Everything.
You don't need anything else.
Everything's in the Storyteller's Handbook, and then there's a Storyteller's Companion that's got a tiny bit more in it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But all you need is in that main book as well. If you don't want to use anything else, it's all there, and you can have years of there's years of adventure in there, and so many ideas as well. But the whole point is coming up with your own, and it's coming up with. And I just love the way that again with the original editions, it got you to describe the setting. What did you want your setting to look at? And there's the Gary, Indiana one in Chicago, and the way they looked at that, and it just mind blowing.
So at the 20th anniversary edition, that contains all, like, the really cool crunchy sort of like Sabbat bits and all that.
Everything is there. All the clans, including all the various bloodlines that are worth anything, they're in there. There are a few extras, I think, aren't there, in some other books, but
Yeah, there's like barley and stuff
Yeah.
come up in like the storyteller's companion.
Yeah. Yeah.
You wouldn't want the players to be playing barley, by the way. Well, you might.
Yeah,
I don't know.
no, you wouldn't.
So,
They really are the bad guys. You think the Sabbath
They're
are the bad guys?
basically the demons.
Yeah. Demon tainted.
yeah.
And I tend to use those as the bad guys. Usually just one, or possibly even never comes onto camera. It always in the background. So there's a suggestion there, and the suggestion is usually to get enough to get the players really sort of going, "Oh God, really? No,
Really?
no."
And
Setites with the others, by the way, back in the day. Now things have changed a bit, but
Some people play Setites, yeah.
yeah, the Setites actually used to in my game when I ran it in Liverpool was out of the bombed out church. That was their base. So
yeah,
and Bold Street. That was their haunt.
My Setite character was a terrible, horrible person.
That's they're not necessarily. This is it. They're not necessarily bad individuals.
But he was into anything horrible.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
They
That's
can't take the path of humanity, can they?
no.
Yeah, he had massive control issues. He just wanted everyone under his control. You know.
Yeah.
Horrible.
That's basically it. Well, there you go. Look, thank you very much for joining us today, for introducing yourself and having a chat about Vampire. I want to come back to Vampire at some stage, actually, in a future video, if that's okay, because I think we've got a lot more stories here to actually sort of tell on that front. And it's one of my all-time top 10 games.
Yeah.
Full stop. And there's so many different reasons actually for it. We've just scratched the surface there, and I'm sure you've got a lot more stories you can actually sort of tell us. So.
We blew up Burnley once, like it's endless.
There we go. That's it. Bonus points for that. Definitely bonus points for that. Yeah, deserved it. I don't care what anyone says, but they deserved it. I don't know what the situation was, but yeah, definitely right.
Probably deserved.
Right, and on that note, I shall say our goodbyes. So thank you very much, and we will see you soon.